204 ground control, and in this video we're going to do a quick review of the RM Italy KL703. Now, out of the RM Italy line, this is one of the big dogs, okay? I have reviewed this, overlooked this amplifier. Very well built, very good design. It is one of the big dogs out of the line. This thing has 16 MOSFETs, and the model MOSFETs are RM3s. So there's 16 RM3 MOSFETs in this amplifier, and it is operable at 25 to 30 megahertz. But get this, not only can you use it on CW, AM, and single sideband, but you also can use it on FM. So this is a go-to box, man. Huge heat sink, 2 dual fans. The fans are quiet as ever. The only thing is when dealing with 16 MOSFETs, it's going to take up some space. This is my 22-year-old Dave made amplifier that I've personally customized myself. As you can tell, the KL703 makes a Dave made 4-pill look like a baby amplifier. So, as in size comparison, yeah, wow, there's just no match there. But let's get back to it. It has a max draw of 50 amps, so you're going to want to use a 60 amp power supply. And it does have an internal input fuse, so you're going to have 4 15 amp fuses inside for your DC line. Okay, now your max input RF power is going to be 35 watts, and that's peak envelope power. So, and yes, this is a high drive box, so you can drive this amplifier from 2 watts all the way up to about 8 watts. I would not go any higher than 8 watts. And if you do use an 8 watt dead key, make sure you check your peak envelope power to make sure you're not going over 35 watts. 35 watts max pep is all you need to drive this amplifier. If you overdrive the amplifier, they are MOSFETs. They are not going to take well to it, and you will not be using this amplifier long if you run it that hard. Another thing with this amplifier, there's no high SWR circuit protection. So if your SWRs are not good to go, please do not fire this amp up. This amp likes to be at least under 1.5 as in SWRs. Okay, 2.1, that's kind of pushing it. You're going to see a little bit more reflect. The amplifier is going to produce a little bit more heat, thus killing the longevity of your components that's in the amplifier itself. So we're going to do a quick view of it real quick. We have the on-off switch for the preamp. That's for your receive. We have the on-off switch for the power of the amp itself, and we have a 3-position variable here. Okay, a 3-position rocker switch as your variable. Middle is high, bottom is low, top is mid. Okay, here's also your mode selector. Top is for AM and FM. Okay, and switch it down and it's SSB capable. There is also a transmit light as well. These do light up as well, pre and amp, and your TX light when you transmit. Okay. Now, you can get this box to match a 1.1 SWR, just to let you guys know that. It is a nicely designed amplifier. And what's really nice about it is there's no copper clad board. No copper board. So this is not homebrew style 1-bit. Okay, we already got the lid off the bottom of it. And we're gonna lean her up a little bit, let you guys get a real good look at this, the bottom of this board, and you see that long aluminum strip. Okay, not only is that there to keep the MOSFETs in place, okay, that aluminum rail in the middle of the board, but it's also there for heat dissipation purposes as well. Okay, and you can also see that all the control switches are hardwired straight into a button interface, which is connected directly to the amplifier board. Okay, let's sit her down a little bit. And here's your relay. You got a decent relay. Got a decent DC connector as well. Here's your inline fuses. Okay, like I say, you got 4 15-amp fuses. Here's your 2 protection diodes for surges and reverse polarity and stuff like that. And check out the great DC filtering that we have. Okay, we got some huge ferrite cores here. And of course your tuning coils. And let me get a little closer. Here's the 3-prong legs for your MOSFETs, where it comes and solders into the board, and there are 16 of them. So, another thing I want to talk to you guys about real quick, okay? When dealing with new equipment, and I'm going to point this out right now. See where my poker is? When dealing with new radios and new amplifiers, I always open them up and check them out. And I get rid of any extra flux on the boards, especially ones that are close to components. Once this amplifier kicks on and it starts operating, okay, it generates heat. This board is going to get hot. And within return of that, this flux is going to get hot. It's going to liquefy. It's going to heat up the board here and possibly heat up the component, which one can produce more heat for the component and make it fail, or shorten the longevity period. So I personally like to get in here with some board cleaner, acetone, some Q-tips, maybe something non-abrasive also to kind of scrape it away softly, and then after that I take a nice rag or something like that, and I like to clean the board. So, and another thing is, I'm gonna show you something else as well. See if we can focus. Another problem. Just because it's brand new doesn't mean it's not going to have any solder splatter. Look at this piece of solder right here on this ferrite. Okay? This is another thing I look out for. I clean the flux, I clean the solder splatter. Okay, no matter if it's a mass-produced piece of electronics, where most of the time it's robotics arms, it's on an assembly line, or robot arms come in here, solder everything, They're very, very, very precise, and they're very efficient. Robotics are very precise and very efficient, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to have the occasional solder or flux splatter, okay? So, on a bad day, this piece of solder splatter can fall off and arc a trace or arc component legs, and then inevitably short something out, blow something out, and then you're going to need a repair. So, food for thought, guys. Get in your electronics, man, brand new or used, when you just get them, and make sure that it's cleaned up and you don't have flux and you don't have solder splatter. Because like I say, man, whether you're dealing with robotics arms that are doing this and mass producing things, or you're dealing with a technician, say an amplifier technician, okay, he's hand soldering everything. And even your homebrew amplifiers, I suggest when you get them in the mail, thoroughly look through them take your time with a nice light, nice bright light, and see if there's any flux you can clean off the board or any solder splatter at all anywhere that could possibly, you know, cause a misfit, cause an issue. All right. And that's about this. That's about time to wrap it up on part 1, man. Part 2, we're gonna put the KL703 on the power supply, 60 amp power supply, and then we're gonna throw it on the meters, man. Like I say, I don't. This is a high drive box, so you can drive it from 2 watts, or you can drive it from 7 watts. But just make sure you keep an eye on your PEP. From your radio, no more than 35 watts of PEP total, okay? So you can drive this amplifier at 7 watts. There's no issues with that at all. One other thing that we'll discuss real quick. Okay, now when you get the amplifier, you're going to see a different connector to it than what you're probably normally used to, okay? That is this right here. 2 screws on each side. Plug it in, screw it in. All right. Now, I wired up this this power cable. All right, guys. These connectors that come with the RM Italy, most of the time can take an 8 gauge wire. All right. So focus, damn it. There is your 8 gauge. Okay? I don't recommend anything smaller than that, to be honest with you. Okay? And we have a nice Mix 43 ferrite here that we put on. And, you know, a couple zip ties for a little bit of strain relief here. You know, so it's not popping out the connector or anything. But if you got your screws laced down though pretty good on this 8 gauge, man, and it seems to hold it in place real good. And here, just you know, heavy duty enough terminals that can, you know, take the heat. They won't blacken or char, and definitely won't melt. And a little bit of heat shrink, and of course we soldered up inside the connector first before we crimped it as well. So we soldered and then crimped it and then crimped it some more. It's really not overkill. And I know what you guys are thinking, and it just dawned on me. But I'm smiling, man. There's no fuse ground control. What are you gonna do? Well, there's my fuse. Okay? That is a 60 amp resettable bus. Okay? Resettable bus. So if a surge or something happens or something goes wrong, the fuse breaks away. And as you can see, the capacitor's drained. So there's no power going to it. That was just juice saved in the capacitors. Now the capacitors are drained. There's no power. So inevitably, reset the switch, the bus, 60 amp bus, and you have power again. So no more glass fuses for me. I don't have to worry about replacing them. I ain't got to worry about them at all. And this is actually a waterproof marine 60 amp bus that I had laying around here. High amp. And it's just so cool, man. Because it's resettable. Can't beat it, man. Screw those glass fuses, you know what I'm saying? So, anyways, let me get that out the way about the power cable, because I'm sure somebody would have said something. Oh, man. Well, I hope I didn't miss anything with this quick review for part 1. I don't want to get too in depth with it. and bore people about all the technical stuff, you know. But stick around and you'll see that part 2 pop up. And like I say, we'll get it on the power supply and we'll get it on the meters. And we will have a little fun. No doubt about it. Ground control. There we go. Focus. State of Maryland. And we just got down 73s.